And honestly, I can't recommend this thing enough. It is the coolest sculpt Hasbro ever did of the snowspeeder.
Here's your sound effect for the intro.
Oh, that's perfect. I guess I gotta loop it around.
I used to make that sound effect with you when I played your Star Wars setups. True or false?
Yep.
TacticalDoodle, ladies and gentlemen of TNP. I'm grabbing something down here. Yes, I am here. So let's give a warm welcome to TD, ladies and gentlemen, back in the project. What do you think of the bunker?
I was wondering what the cone was for the longest time. It's
for
awesome.
Being obnoxious.
We got lots of space. It feels like I'm in a comic shop from the 90s.
It's cool, huh?
It's awesome. Look at all that. All this stuff is cool. ED209. Dudes.
A lot of that stuff is irreplaceable.
T600, Hot Toys.
That's this thing right here. So
Difficult to
you got to tell these guys exactly a little bit about that because you know more about it than I do.
Well, I'm sure someone's going to go, that movie sucked. Yeah, Terminator Salvation or whatever.
It did suck.
It sucked. Terminators are always cool, though. And
right.
The fact that this dude's holding a minigun, and actually his eyes light up, but something like that.
This is feature length. We're not in a hurry. So if you're in a hurry and you just want to find out about World War II guns, there's like a bazillion resources you can go to. This is entertainment television in the Nut and Fancy project with a theme of World War II guns and our favorite, pretty much long arms.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we're doing? Pretty much long arms. And most of them, we actually have an inventory. So we're going to give you our opinions on them. That's all it is. Opinions on our favorite World War II long arms and maybe some other things like snow speeders along the way. Do a mini review, dude.
This one comes from the vintage collection. I want to say 2011, 2012.
Get right up to the camera.
It's the first time that Hasbro actually revisited the snowspeeder and did a brand new mold that's in scale, that's accurate, that doesn't have a bunch of froofy nonsense. Like most of the other sculpts were a lot bigger and chunkier, and they had like a Nerf gun built in or a laser or a giant. Stuff was out of proportion.
They had the harpoon on that one, right?
It's stupid. It's cute if you're 5 years old, but more than anything, kids want a toy that looks like it does in the movie and acts like it does in the movie.
Show the speed brakes.
Oh, dude. The flaps on this
just like
work.
Empire.
How cool is that?
Back when Star Wars used to be cool.
And it's not...
It hasn't been cool for a long time.
You don't have to hit a button or anything to activate it. It's just perfect.
Look at that. Open the canopy so they can see the dudes.
Dude, it's got like a perfect...
Isn't that cool? God,
I don't want to chip nothing.
So this has been in the background of the bunker here for a couple videos, so it's rare I'm going to bring stuff out of the background to show you it, but we're going to do it with this. Since TacticalDoodle's here and he grew up playing with this, so he and his little brother would do, we call them setups, where they actually do a combat setup. Yeah, vehicles.
Yeah, you station everything for the battle, and then you play the battle out, and you have to figure out everything, where it's going, what it's going to do, how it's going to fight.
This is an O-Light, by the way, S30R. Awesome light, a little bit bigger compared to my S20. A lot bigger. Come on, O-Light, bring that S20R back and just leave it. I like the S30. It's a great light. It's just a little bit too bulky for me. So lots of other great stuff in the background, by the way. We're not going to cover it all. We'll be here all night.
Yeah.
If we review the shelves.
It takes forever.
What we are going to review, what we are going to talk about, again, are our favorite World War II firearms. And if you don't know it, if you have not sensed it from my tabletop reviews, from TD shooting in the field with me, we love most of these guns, don't we?
They're awesome.
We have a passion for them. I think most of you guys do as well because you're watching this video. It is, again, probably going to be feature length. It's just an opinion piece. We're not here to tell you all about the history. And I think you're going to find it interesting because we're going to rate the guns if we were in certain World War II combat scenarios. So these are the ones we're talking about right here. And we're just going to go and we're going to talk about the calibers and what we would like to fight with. Now, go ahead.
It's just the
here, look to them, dude.
Something I hate looking at people. You
have to talk to them.
The coolest thing about World War II rifles and stuff is they meet the perfect measure of collectible and historical while being functional. Because it's the perfect combo. It's wood, it's steel, it's accurate. You can it meets that perfect thing. Whereas stuff from like the 70s, 80s, you're getting into maybe Colt Sporters. That's as accurate as you can get. It's just tougher to collect stuff. Meanwhile, all this is bolt action, semi-auto. It's a lot more fulfilling to collect to me. And there's tons. Each country used its own thing. They weren't all...
And also, every gun has a ton of personality.
Yeah.
And I think when we get into the black rifle era, which I think you're alluding to right now, they're great. I mean, First Cool, they own it. I mean, they're capable, they're lightweight, they're reliable. They have advanced features. They're modular. They're easily adaptable to mission. A lot of these World War II rifles are not. Are you going to start with that one?
I was just going to grab... Well, because each...
I don't want to spoil the surprise, though, what's coming. They haven't even seen that one yet. The black rifle era, though, is great. We love it. We have a lot. I don't know if we got all WW2 in the background right now.
Yeah, I threw them all out.
Yeah. Love it, but there's no personality. They're not wood. They're not steel. They're not milled. A lot of these took a lot of time to manufacture. You get it. It's that second cool thing, and yet, like you just said, they are functional. So, like, in my Garand review I posted, like, in 2012, one of the things I said is it's still a viable combat long arm. It's still viable. In the hands of someone who knows how to run a Garand, it's a formidable weapon.
Well,
for sure.
It's interesting when you see each different type. You see what the countries wanted. It was like a point of national pride. They didn't.
Good.
There weren't many. Like Mausers had a huge kind of swath of countries that they worked with. But when it came time to build a bolt action, what did the U.S. do? Definitely not rip off the Mauser and build the 1903.
Well, they had a couple interim ones too. So they brought over an Americanized 1917.
Yeah.
Which we might have. Little spoiler. We might have that. But it was. It's a national pride. It's like, hey, cool, you guys got yours, here's ours. And they actually had a lot of proving grounds prior to World War II to try these weapons out.
Yeah.
So the Spanish Civil War for the Germans, there were several skirmishes in the late 1800s on through the 1900s, prior to World War I as well. And then they rolled into the Great War, World War I, and then World War II. That a lot of them reemerged again and actually had a very stellar service record even then.
Yeah.
One thing we're not going to do in the video, though, is we're not going to get into, like, the video game thing. We love it. Like Call of Duty, that's awesome. It's cool. But there is some, and actually before this video, I clicked around and I was thinking, well, what's the ratings on certain weapons? And I clicked around and I saw that a lot of them aren't really grounded to reality.
Yeah.
Because in a game, they might modify it with this capability or that capability. Some are, some aren't. But we're just going to kind of give you our own ratings. I think in these terms, we're going to rate it 0 to 5 stars. 0 is like total crap. 5 stars is so awesome. It really can be more perfect for the job given the era.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not going to, when we give our star rating, we're going to pretend we're like in 1943, 1944. That's our star rating. And that's all it is just an opinion piece. Which one do you want to start off with?
Sheesh, we got a lot of options.
Again, feature length, if you're in a hurry, dude, just hit 1.5, 1.75 times speed.
If you're in a hurry, what are you doing on YouTube?
Good point.
You should be doing something else. This is...
You know when I watch YouTube is when I'm eating lunch.
Yeah.
When I'm eating lunch, I'll grab my cell phone, and if I love feature length, long form videos. In fact, I seek them out. I hate videos that are 10 minutes long. It's garbage. Not garbage, but it makes me have to go hunt for something else. And if it's a longer video, I can break it off in chunks if I'm in a hurry.
I've never turned on YouTube and said, man, I really want to burn 3 minutes and 43 seconds. That would be real cool.
Never. Why don't you just go to a website, like a blog or something, and read it?
Yeah.
Right?
At that point, might as well just read the wiki article.
Still doing TNP Patreon. Thank you very much for joining. I know Patreon is imperfect, but it is reliable up to this point. Who knows what the future holds?
For now.
Who knows? But if the money stops flowing, the videos do this. Sound effect, free of charge. That's just the way it is. Subscribe. Thanks for subscribing. Still in YouTube for now. Who knows? It's bad days. What do you think, TD?
Yeah, it's not much confidence to have in the future these days.
We just don't know what. It's with any gun content, it's crap. And if I merge to another platform, like I've said in QTN, the amount of people that would actually follow me over there and actually support me and watch the content would be about like this.
Yeah.
You're talking like 2%. I can't even get them to go over to the B channel, same platform. So, enough said.
Yeah, people say it a lot. They're, if you do another one, but just like, what was the site? When Reddit, they banned a bunch of stuff, and people were like, we're going to go to the new one. We're going to show these chumps and
there's not been a
500
there's
to
some
the audience.
Emerging hosting platforms out, but time will tell if they're monetizable, if they're good, if they're reliable, and
You're at like, what, 1,800 videos? Do you want to go through and upload each one of those?
That's like a year of work.
Dude.
I'm putting like 40 to 50 hours in currently in TNP.
Yeah.
All the time. Between research, pre-production, production, post-production. Doing this stuff like this.
Yeah.
Getting ready because it's fun. Oh, this video is going to rock, dude. You know what we ought to do as well? We ought to I shouldn't even say it on camera, but I'm going to because they're going to want it.
You just fuzz it all out.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it and leave it. Update on alternatives to the AR-15.
Not very vigorous.
Didn't we shoot that last time?
We did, but I think there's been others that have come out since
The list begins and ends with Stare Og.
Yeah.
Suspect keeps talking about how he wants to buy one of those, and I can't dissuade him from it.
Go ahead.
I liked it.
He didn't shoot it when I had it, though. We did have a Steyr Og in the project. It was a lukewarm review. From me, I think it's way, way overrated.
I was pumped for it until I shot it.
Not very accurate.
The first round, I was like, holy shit, that was loud. It was
Do you remember?
So loud
there was like a
concussive.
span of time that I was ruining basically every gun for Tactical Doodle. Tell them in the camera.
Yeah, that's pretty much
Come
all
over here, little more. Yeah, it's like I shot the AR-180. I ruined that one for you.
That was
I
such
ruined
a
the
letdown.
Steyr Og. I ruined the AMD 65 Hungarian for you.
Also bad.
It burned his hand. I think you got like a burn out of the desert from it.
Yeah, it was a fun little present from that thing. Yeah.
Focus.
Yeah.
Okay, enough messing around. Back to the subject. Favorite TNP guns of World War II. Long arms. We're going to rate them in different scenarios. And here's the scenarios. You're going to like it. Over the beach, house-to-house fighting, jungle fighting, a Battle of the Bulge scenario.
In the cold?
Yes, in cold winter conditions, snowy, in the woods, vehicle operations, and then finally, collecting. Or as we did in the T-38, six areas. And we're going to start off with a worldwide favorite. Everybody loves this gun. Everybody knows it. Many of you own this gun. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mosin Nagant 9130. Favorite World War II guns of the Nut and Fancy project. Tactical Doodle.
Really, if you don't own a Mosin, you go buy one right after this. Or right now, pause it, go buy one, and come back. Because get them while they're still around.
They have gone up in value a lot.
The days of like $85 Mosins are long gone from what I'm seeing.
But they're still reasonable. I haven't really priced one in a long time.
They're not bad.
What, $200 or something like that? And, you know, are they super collectible? Are you getting the hex receiver ones? This is a round receiver one. Maybe, maybe not. We have to tell you right now, this one has been modded. I did a whole video many years ago about Mosin Nagant modifications. There's probably 1,000 videos on that.
Tons of them.
I mean, I think Mrs. Nut and Fancy put one out too.
Yeah.
So it's got the 90-degree bolt mod. It's got the Timney trigger with a safety, which, by the way, I had to take out so much wood. Gosh, that was a pain to install.
A lot of work.
I got the stock refinished, and look at how gorgeous that is. I talked about it in that video. It's got the sights, so we can actually hit something with it. But let's go back to the scenario. Mosin Nagant, we're in let's just say 1943.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Eastern Front's not doing so well.
Not so hot.
Not at the last part of 43, if memory serves. Again, I'm not a historian. Over the beach, though, so we're going to leave the Eastern Front. We're going to say you're doing an over-the-beach assault like Iwo Jima. Would you want to run a Mosin Nagant Tactical Doodle?
Nah.
Rate it 0 to 5 stars. Go.
1.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm going to agree. 1.
Biggest reason, rim lock.
Yeah, and rim lock, when we test these things, is almost always an issue. And always guys will roll in and go, well, you just don't know how to fire it. You're doing something wrong. Whatever. And you're probably right. We're probably screwing it up. However, we do shoot a lot of guns. We have a ton of experience with all types of guns. We're not the end-all experts, but if we're jacking it up there, I'm pretty sure it's going to jack up everywhere. So we've had rim lock issues with them all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. That's one reason. Another reason is I don't like their sights as they come. I absolutely hate the Mosin Nagant sights as they come. How about you?
They're super coarse.
Really coarse, hard to hit with. All World War II long arms, it seems like, other than some American versions like the Garand, they hit really high.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were, as we've researched, are zeroed for so-called 400, 450 yards. That's insanity.
It's a bit much.
Because in running out in the desert, if we give you a scenario where you're going to take a stock Mosin Nagant and we're going to say, hey, Here's a mini IPSC plate at 450 yards. The amount of people they're going to hit that. I'm talking not in combat conditions. I'm talking about in a run and gun situation is what percent?
Not even 10, maybe 5%.
5%, and those might be luck shots.
They'll get lucky sometimes.
Now, if you shoot enough and you can see where your rounds are hitting, you can correct. And you go, oh, I'm shooting low right by 6 feet. Okay, now I shoot up left by 6 feet, and you can correct rounds. But I'm talking like within the first couple rounds, you hit steel.
Yeah.
Or bad guys in this situation.
It's a bit tough to see what you're hitting at 400 yards if you're using those sights, though.
Yeah, the sights are bad. So let's go back to the scenario. So over the beach, we gave it a 0. You said primary for rim lock. I think that would apply through all the combat situations,
for all of them.
not just beach.
It's old technology, even at that point. Like,
yeah,
dude.
If you get sand in here, though, you can clean out the magazine. It has a droppable floor plate. That's cool. It is very simple. It's very strong. It's very robust. Simplicity is good. So I think over the beach, I'm just going to go with a 1 star on that. House to house. And there are shorter versions, the carbine versions of the Mosin. Would you want this gun house to house?
It's a 2. It's doable. It's just really long for most of them, unless you get one of the shorter ones. But then you still
have a bolt action rifle.
You're working that bolt, and sometimes it's sticky.
And while we're doing this video, we're going to take you out of the bunker and show you our many years of shooting all these guns. We have a lot of rounds sent downrange with the Mosin and the other ones coming. House to house, no doubt they did it. The Russians did it, but I'll probably give it a 1 again. How about you?
Yeah.
Jungle fighting. Let's say you're in the Pacific campaign and somehow you had a Mosin Nagant down there. Give it a rating.
It's a stronger 2, I guess.
Okay, if we're talking about jungle fighting, that's a high humidity environment.
Yeah.
Same with over the beach. I think not all, but most of the guns are going to rust pretty good on you.
Oh, yeah.
So just keeping up with maintenance in the field is going to be fun. Here, you hold it.
Especially with the ammo they'd be giving you with this thing.
Yeah. For jungle fighting, I'm just thinking of my score here. The engagement distances are generally close. I'd say inside 100 yards on that. The nice thing about a Mosin is it has a really awesome bayonet you can put on it. Most of them come with it. I'm going to give it actually some plus for that because there's a lot of close-in combat in the jungle, like the Japanese charges and stuff. And again, this is just fictitious scenarios, but I'll probably give it maybe a 2.5 in jungle fighting, just because we're in the jungle, so it doesn't have to be super short overall length. And actually, that length is a good standoff distance. So it's actually an impact weapon that you can impact with. I wish I had the bayonet on one. I forgot to put it on.
Yeah, I couldn't find it.
It wouldn't fit in here anyhow.
No.
And we'd probably stab ourselves with it accidentally. I'll give it 2.5. How about you?
Yeah, stronger 2. It's good. It's still going to be long, but at least you have enough power to kind of punch through some vegetation.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because this is a good time to talk about the 7.6254 Mosin. What's our numbers we got on there? And these are just ballpark. And it may be higher, maybe less. What's our feet per second on this sucker?
2,500.
How many foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle?
2,550.
That's for a 181 grain FMJ. Again, you can have some variances. That's a pretty good power level.
It's good enough for them to keep using it.
And getting back to the jungle configuration or the situation, penetrating brush.
Yeah.
So sticks, foliage, maybe even some light skin, steel of some, whatever sort, like a 50-gallon drum or something. There's a bad guy hiding behind it. It's a good round. I mean, it's the poor man's 30-06. That's what I called my review back in 2010, whenever I posted it. So, really cool. Vehicle ops. What did we rate that? We forgot Battle of the Bulge. Woods. I'm actually going to rate the Mosin Nagant in a Battle of the Bulge scenario, cold weather, woods. I'm assuming I've learned the sights and I can hit with them. I'll give it a 3.
Really?
Yeah, because the power of the cartridge, it's more of a static defense. I'm not running and gunning. Yeah. I'm basically, like, if you go to Band of Brothers, as they showed it, like they're in the foxholes and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe a 3. Is that too generous? Make your case.
Every time we've shot them in the winter, working that bolt has been a chore. It is. It's
true.
not.
I did forget that.
Think about in this one, we're spoiled because we got the aftermarket turn on that, so that makes it a lot easier.
You're making a good point right there. I totally forgot that. You have to slap it like a mail order bride,
and it's just a little, like a ½ inch and 90 degrees out, and it takes a lot of work.
Yeah,
it was so much worse in the winter. So I'd give it a 1.
Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me of that. 3 is probably a little too generous because, yeah, you're let's just say 0 Fahrenheit on the temperature, plus rim lock.
Plus years and years of cosmoline jammed in this, which I guess in the hypothetical 1942,
you wouldn't have cosmoline.
It should be totally impregnated. But
it's like this gun, all cleaned up, oiled, ready to go. I'll give it a 2.
Yeah.
Battle of the Bulge. How about vehicle ops?
Very doable.
What?
Super compact, really handy.
That's called sarcasm, ladies and gentlemen.
It's what? How long is it with the bayonet? Isn't it approaching like
17 feet long? It's 17 feet long with a bayonet, and you need actually artillery wheels attached to the stock. It's not really 17 feet. It's like 15 feet or something.
It's
a really long overall length. But remember, that came from the outgrowth of the 19th century.
Yeah.
So in the 19th century, the guns, the Krags and the Swedish guns, they were super long in overall length. So this is a carryover.
Wasn't it 1890 or something?
Yeah, this is actually an 1800s design that went on into World War I and then later World War II. But back then, the long overall length was standard. Look at the Revolutionary War, the Civil War. Those guns generally were very long in overall length. So vehicle ops, I'll give it a 0. I would not want to be getting in and out of an armored vehicle with a Mosin Nagant, even the carbine version.
Yeah.
0.
Although the Russians didn't really have troop carriers as much, did they? I thought they used to ride on the top of T-34s.
Not so much. That came later.
Yeah.
With the BMPs and stuff. Their armored philosophy developed during the Cold War era to be much better, more advanced, and combined arms concept with armored vehicles riding into battle with the tanks. Providing armor, what do you know, for troops instead of having them completely exposed like they were in World War II. And then last but not least, on our Mosin Nagant 9130, collecting. So this is different. We've kind of come out of, the battle situation. Now we're just talking about collecting the second cool TacticalDoodle.
I'd say 4, maybe
Good,
even
like
5.
that.
It is super cost effective.
Here, you hold it.
The ammo's pretty affordable. It's fun to shoot. There's a lot of breadth, and it's a great introduction to collecting. You can get different years. You can nerd out on the hex receiver and the different types and the carbines and the accessories. It's really accessible as far as old World War II rifles go.
Yeah, and for me as a Mosin, we are kind of a Mosin collector. Yeah. We have several. Doing it like this and getting it cleaned up, for us, it gives a pride of ownership. Is it period correct? No, but we don't care. This is how it should be. And like I said in the review, I've been at the range shooting with this and people come up and they offer to buy it. Like, man, that looks so great.
It is way more enjoyable to shoot. Just the trigger shoe alone makes it so much more fun to shoot.
And the sights we can hit with, they're accurate. The bolt is still the bolt, but it's easier with a 90-degree turn. And I give it 0 to 5 stars for collectability. I'll probably give it a 4 as well because it's low cost. And when we say 4, it's not that it's going to increase in value. It may or may not. There's so many Mosins out there, but it gives you enjoyment. And I think that's where when we talk about collectability, when it's hanging on your wall, when you go out to shoot it with your family, I think most guys really, really love shooting the Mosin as far as a recreational pursuit.
And guilt-free accessories, because unlike most of these others,
you can mod this thing for cheap.
Yeah.
Be careful of the fool's errand that I've talked about before, though, on the Mosin. If you really want a first cool capability, Grand Sub 6254 is actually a pretty good round, but I think 308 is more accessible. It comes in a wider variety of loads. I think for all the money you'd put into modding a Mosin, make it a modern sporting rifle or modern tactical bolt action rifle, you'd be better off buying a value bolt action like a Savage Axis, Ruger American, something like that.
I was just talking, you can slap whatever shit you want to on this, and you're not going to have someone try to burn your house down for ruining a classic. Like, I wouldn't go drilling scope mounts into a 1903 or something.
No.
It's a lot rare, but Mosins, it's like, oh, sure, whatever.
At least when we started hooking into them about the 2009 to 2012 time frame, they were pretty affordable. You were seeing Mosins under $100. So overall, in a combat World War II scenario, our opinion only, it's going to get a super low rating. If you differ, go ahead and say it coolly in comment and tell us what your rationale is of why you would choose over all the guns we're going to show you a Mosin. A Mosin.
What kind of pervert would do that? I see all those other great options, but I think I'm going to go
Well, there are some guys that are really invested in their choice, and maybe all they have is a Mosin, and it's myopia. I talked about it in that video. People get myopic because this is what I have, and it's the best in the world. I don't have money to go get something, so they defend it to their last breath. So that happens all the time.
Perverts. Right. All right, next one.
Introduce it.
Are we going next in order of
Doesn't matter.
crappiness?
It's just completely random. I wouldn't say necessarily crappiness, but you have not seen this.
I think it's kind of crappy.
Well, let's make our case right here. And again, it's just an opinion piece. Take it away. Arasaka, Type 38. Caliber is 6.5 by 50 millimeter SR.
Who knows for this one, though?
We got to be truthful with you guys. We always are. We have not shot this one that much. The ammo is incredibly expensive. It's hard to find. But this is our Arasaka. It has the chrysanthemum on it, and it hasn't been marred up.
That's awesome. It's in rough,
look at that,
real condition.
It doesn't have a bayonet, so it came sans bayonet. But look at this, dude. It's the Arasaka carbine. I think it was developed out of a Type 38, this Type 44. Oftentimes these chrysanthemums were defaced because they hated the emperor of Japan or whatever.
I thought it was once they were captured or thrown away, they were supposed to.
Oftentimes this chrysanthemum was defaced by whoever. So finding one that has been unmarred and in perfect condition, it's not impossible. They're out there, but
they're out there.
It's not like all the time. So this actually, we'll start from the bottom. Collectability. I'm going to give this one, even without its bayonet, enjoyment of collectability. If I roll in shooting, price of ammo, it's not going to be as high as you think. I'll give it 2.5. How about you?
I would say collectability, enjoyment, 4.
But I'm saying collectability isn't just presenting it on the wall, which is cool.
Yeah, you're talking about shooting it.
Actually getting out and shooting it some, and enjoyment. I think hanging it on your wall saying you have an Arasaka, a genuine World War II Arasaka that may or may not have seen combat in the Pacific Island War, that's pretty cool. If I just said that, cool. I would say 5. But if I roll in shooting and searching out and buying the ammunition, it's going to drop my scale. Because I don't want to just collect something and never shoot it.
We differ on that because I don't mind it.
See, I like shooting my guns.
It's
even an Arasaka, dudes. All right, so you're going to give it a what? A 4, you said?
I was thinking a 4.
Okay.
Because the Arasakas are kind of weird. Like a lot of people get K98s and Garands and stuff, but Arasakas are a little bit tougher to find. The bringbacks didn't seem to happen as much. The market's a little bit funkier.
Well, I think a lot of GIs brought them back. In fact, I would wager this gun came back in a duffel bag by some GI.
Yeah.
And it came up on an estate sale, and that's when I got it.
But it's not in the market on the same magnitude as K98s and Mausers.
How often do you walk into a gun store and see an Arasaka on the shelf?
That's the thing. We've been searching for decades now, and we've never seen them.
Yeah.
They're much rarer.
So what's the power on this cartridge, dude? If it is, there's 2 calibers, I think, Arasakas. So this one is going to be kind of a more intermediate power cartridge. 2,500 feet per second, 2,600 foot-pounds of energy.
It's about the same as a Mosin.
I think that's generous, though. I think it's, and I didn't chrono it when I shot it. I bet you it's a lot less than that.
I think that's out of the full-length one, too.
Okay.
Because the full-length Arasaka is
huge. That's true.
Huge.
Yeah. And there's all sorts of types of Arasakas. I'm not the expert. I like the short overall one, which will take us to vehicle ops for the shorter one, 0 to 5. Go.
Yeah, probably 4. It's more compact, at least.
Given a bolt action gun, I'll give it. I'll get 3.5. The only reason I'm not going higher with that because it's still a bolt action gun, and if I'm emerging from a vehicle to make a shot with any type of weapon, I don't want to have to fool around with a bolt action gun because usually it's going to be contact close.
Yeah.
So. What'd I give it? Like 3.5 maybe?
But as far as bolts go, I really like that they give you enough length.
Straight bolt.
It's got like a good little
get clocked on closing on this. Yep.
So it's relatively slick.
Look at the machining on the back of the bolt right here. How cool that is. So this is kind of what we're talking about, how every nation kind of makes a statement with their combat arm. And I think even Japan did this. They're like, by the way, I'm not aiming the barrel at his face in case you're wondering. It's past his head. I mean, that machine pattern why in the world would you waste time in a wartime environment putting that on your bolt? The answer is they didn't do it. This gun in a wartime environment. This is a 1930 to 1933 production Arisaka from my research. That's what I can gather. But here you go. Japanese national pride, craftsmanship of the era. At least partially. There's some other parts of this gun that may or may not have been replaced. It's not all perfect. But I'll tell you what, it dominates that Mosin in build quality. Pride of ownership, pride of Japan, the Empire of Japan, at least back in the day. And that takes us upwards in the list. We're going to go backwards on the Arisaka. Let's rip through this. We said vehicle ops already, right?
Yeah.
And you gave it a rating. Battle of the Bulge in the Forest, Arisaka. How would you rate it?
It's probably 2. It's not...
I'm going to go with that,
that much better or that much worse. It's not really slick. It is handier, at least.
I'd rather have a 30-06.
Yeah.
You know, I think that for that environment, and you're going to have some longer shots, like across a field, maybe 400-yard shots. I don't want to be shooting a 6.550. No thanks. I think this is more of a brush gun. So we're going to give that 2. And also, it's shorter overall length. Not really an advantage in woods fighting in that situation. You have a bayonet that you can put on there, but I think a longer overall length would be more beneficial in the foxhole. What's that one? You do those 3 right there.
House to house. It's
higher.
Better than the Mosin.
Yeah, it's more maneuverable.
At least this particular one, because the carbine, if we're talking regular Arisaka, I want to say it's like 5.5 feet for the longest one with the bayonet attached.
We forgot to mention the weight. This is 7 pounds, 11 ounces, which for the era is pretty light.
That's handy.
That's very light. The Mosin Nagant, weight on that is like 8 something. Oh, 9.8.
Sheesh.
9.8. That's without the bayonet.
Yeah.
You put the bayonet, it's even heavier. I'll give it for, did you rate it already? For
the worst thing about it really are the sights. And that's saying a lot that the Mosin Nagant has better sights than this thing. And
it's really
This
bad.
is like a chunky, it's almost like it's made out of Legos.
It's a little tiny triangle, and it has a little tiny slot in the back, the Arisaka, and they are horrible.
It's really
So I'd
bad.
give the Battle of the Bulge scenario, I'm going to give it, did I say it already? 2.
Yeah. 2.
2. Underpowered cartridge, horrible sights, shorter overall length. No. Oh, you went to house already.
Yeah, it's pretty much 2s across the board for me.
I'll give it a little bit higher in house to house. I'll give it a 3. Because then I don't need a powerful cartridge. It's easier to maneuver in and out around street corners and stuff. I'll give it a 3 for the era.
Yeah.
Not with modern sensibilities. Jungle fighting.
Not too different.
Give it a rating. And why?
It's super similar to the Mosin for me, though. They have similar output. They're neither of them are super
Mosin cartridge is more powerful than this, though.
Well, I'm talking like, because not just the carbine one, because the Mosin has a carbine too.
I forgot to write down the weight of that. It's a lighter weight cartridge, or a lighter weight bullet, though. For jungle fighting, which probably it saw most of its service in the Pacific Island campaign, obviously. I'll give it a 2.5 to 3 for that, because you don't need a super powerful cartridge.
Yeah.
Rust resistance, I think it'd be a problem, just keeping up with it, maintain it. And yeah, we're going to come to a couple guns that I think did a little bit better with rust resistance. And then finally, over the beach for the I almost said Mosin, Arisaka.
It's B1, maybe, if that.
I'll go with that one. I'm going to agree with you.
Because if you get sand in there, you're going to have a bit of a chore getting it out.
And then finally, over the beach for at least the Type 38 Arisaka, this carbine version, TD, what do you rate it?
Give it a 2. It's not much better or much worse than the Mosin. You can clean it out, kind of. It should handle pretty well.
I'm going back to cartridge power. It's an intermediate cartridge, as far as I know. I mean, again, I'm not the expert on the Arisaka. I'd rather have something more powerful. If I'm going through brush, foliage, sticks. It is lightweight, though. It's easier to come aboard the beach with and handle it. From what I know, it was a reliable gun. You have a removable floor plate for dumping sand out of it right here. So there is a way to clean it. And it's a pretty simple design. It's robust, and I think it's well made. It's a gun you don't hear too much about, though. The Arisaka. You just don't, in the realm of the best World War II guns, you don't hear the word Arisaka too many times.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it goes back to what you said, that there weren't that many that came in II country where it was in a lot of people's hands.
Yeah.
Like if you go back to the 50s, 60s, even the 70s, American long arms came into the country by the thousands. And so there are lots and lots of converts to the weapons. Had we done that with Arasaka, this might be a different conversation.
Well, we never had the Russians capture 6 million of them and tuck them away in a mine shaft for 40 years and start selling it. Because think about it, the Russian
or the Russian satellite nations.
The K98s, the Mosins, all those come from...
the butt pad right here. Steel butt
tons
pad.
And tons of
We got to move on. We're going to be here all night. Arasaka, therefore, pretty good. Probably for me, it'd be a better urban weapon.
Yeah, I like a quirky addition to the World War II collection, though.
Absolutely.
That's what I like about it, because it rounds it out.
Tell them, not me. All right, what are we going to choose next? All right, moving along. Favorite long arms of TNP, actual combat scenarios in 1943? 44?
Whatever.
Doesn't matter.
42.
Next up, present it. We love this gun. This is in our own collection. Ladies and gentlemen, the Eddystone. A stopgap bolt action rifle, correct, TD?
Yep.
Stopgap. This is what we use for a very short period. If my history serves me, it probably doesn't. And this sucker is heavy. Oh my gosh, what's the weight on the Eddystone, dude?
Chunky monkey.
10 pounds, 5 ounces.
Well, look at the wings.
Here, hold it to him, and I'm going to get the scale. Just do I have one here?
Look at how big the beefy little wings on the sights are.
Okay, so what we're seeing, though, is a carryover from the 1900s. Again, a very large gun, very long overall length. The whole philosophy and the employment of long arms was changing at the time. Some of these guns had a single shot capability where you were supposed to treat it like a single shot rifle and you use the magazine for emergencies only. The whole philosophy, it was changing at the time. Here, put it on the scale and make sure I told him right on the weight. It's a heavy, chunky rifle. 10.5.
Oof.
10.5 on the Eddystone. All right, so let's go down the scenarios, TD. Take it away. Where do you want to go first? Give it a rating.
Sheesh,
Start on that one.
Over the beach.
I'm going to give it 2. Maybe a 3. It has longer range capability.
It's 30-06, and the bolt action is kind of nice.
You talk about a smooth bolt action, dude. The Eddystone, oh my goodness. Did I review this yet? I thought I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, go watch my review on the Eddystone.
We've shot it a ton.
It is so awesome. It has no recoil, even though it's spitting out 2,900 feet per second, about 2,800 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle with a 150 grain bullet in it. For over the beach, I'll stick with... I'm going to go 2.5 because I'm not a big fan of the sights.
Really?
I'm not. Because the sights, you can't adjust windage back here, dude.
Oh, yeah.
It's not windage adjustable, and like everything we have in the period, other than some American arms, this thing was shooting like freaking, 2 feet high? Hey, it's zeroed for 5,000 meters, nothing fancy. I'm just having a good time here. It's not really. And it's really heavy to carry over the beach, you know? Would you want to come trucking across that?
Really?
The thing is, though, we're going to get to a gun that's always is just as heavy, just about, and we're going to love that gun.
But totally different capability.
True. House to house, I'll give it a 1.
Yeah.
You can put a big old bayonet on it, which I probably should have put on. Again, I can't fit in here.
Yeah, we could barely fit our
here. You hold it.
Fat asses in here.
1 star for house to house. It's just too long overall length. It's also a bolt action gun. Just slow.
Another thing that does hurt the rating for me is stripper clips in this are a little bit harder. It doesn't have as easy. Some of these, they have really good guides, and you just pop it in and slap it. It works in really quick. I could never really get the hang of doing this one too fast. You kind of had to be a little bit methodical.
Actually don't have a problem with the Eddystone bolt. I think it cycles really fast. It's
I love
super
the bolt.
smooth. I love the trigger. The whole shooting dynamics of the gun are fantastic for me personally. In another scenario, some of you guys might be saying a comment already is, hey, how come you didn't put a sniper situation in? I think the answer is I think it was pretty rare in World War II. It didn't happen very often. The philosophy and the doctrine for sniping operations was very much in its infancy back then. That's why. So, but if I were to put a sniping role in World War II, with a telescopic sight. If I don't even know if there was one fitted. I know the 1903 had them.
The 1903 did it. I don't think the Eddystones ever got it.
Right, because there weren't that many Eddystones. Again, it was stopgap before the 1903 was produced and came out, and then the 03 was basically replaced by the M1 Garand.
Yeah, it was. They were building a bunch
reluctantly
of
slow in some quarters. Some quarters like, don't get rid of our bolt action gun for the M1 Garand. There you go. We got to press on there. Jungle Fighting. Great cartridge. Goes through brush. For the power and for the long arm. I guess you could see it really Jungle Fighting. You could actually make a case of, hey, I'd rather have a shorter overall length for all the brush. Or like I said earlier, you want a longer overall length for bayonet use. I'm kind of going with that latter part. I'd rather have a longer gun for more standoff capability. I'm going to give it a 3 and maybe a 3.5 in Jungle Fighting.
I would do it too, because I think this sight, at least when we were running it, got caught on a lot of stuff. It seems to stick out more than some of the other ones.
With a big old protective
It was big. Because I remember getting this caught a couple times.
Yeah, but you could say the same thing about the 03.
Yeah, but look, that's like it's almost a whole thumb compared to some
but
of these
dude,
other
you got
ones.
a freaking bayonet on that thing. An infield bayonet that big. Good. So what's your star rating, you said?
2.
Battle of the Bulge scenario?
3. If you're in place, working the bolt is awesome. It's probably the best one we've had so far.
I'm going to give it 3.5 because, again, it's 30-06, super smooth. As far as the accuracy of the Eddystone, it's pretty high from what we could gather. This is, of course, assuming that miraculously you're able to get your sights to 0 at the range you're shooting at. Hey, I'm always shooting at 400 yards. You might be. But even hitting with this at 400 yards, I tried it. I had a really hard time.
It's tough.
To find out where it was printing, and then I haven't done any sight modifications to this. Maybe an armor could get it to 0. The sights are cool, but they're very turn of the century-ish.
Yeah.
They're machined. I mean, look at the machining, the extra weight. This is why this thing's so heavy. Got like machined steel ears. You got like ladder sights on the back.
The craftsmanship is great, though.
Oh, it is.
It is totally awesome.
And we're going to get to that. But for Battle of the Bulge, I'm being generous at 3.5. Vehicle ops, I'm going to give it a 0.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah.
Coming in and out of a Sherman tank with this, how about a Jeep?
It'd be tough.
Yeah, and we're talking Allied vehicles, but heck, you could say it for German vehicles too. Forget about it. And then last but not least, collecting, I'm going to give it a 5.
Yeah, it was underappreciated for a while. I think the CMP sold off a lot of them through the years, and it was kind of the lesser desired.
CMP had these?
Yeah.
Didn't you say they were like $300 or something at the time?
They were pretty affordable.
Good luck trying to find an Eddystone for $300 now. I would imagine, I'm just ballparking, but around $1,000 if you find one.
I think like $800 for the beat ones, maybe sporterized ones.
I haven't done a parts search on this, see if it's all parts correct. We don't really care.
It has the original
looks
barrel.
very original to me. This one looks very original.
That says it's a 1918, so it's original. I'm pretty sure that's the original sling.
If you find an Eddystone for, I would say around $400, if it's the thing that turns you on, you like 30-06s like we do, you like World War II guns, I would not stop. I would not hesitate. Just buy it.
Nice rifle. Model 1917. U.S. Enfield Eddystone.
and put it in your collection, enjoy it, pass it on to your future generations. 5 for collectability, both in enjoyment of shooting. It's so fun to shoot. Yeah, I know it's not perfectly zeroed, smooth, hardly any recoil at all. And then it's just so cool hanging up. So cool. The Eddystone. What's your rating, did you say?
Yeah, it's a 5.
And 30-06 ammo is not outlandish to find and buy. Eddystone, ladies and gentlemen. Cool. Now we're going to go.